Begin right here.
Hello everyone. Welcome to our area director training. I'm so happy to see you all here. A lot of you have met for the first time, and many of you I've emailed many times and never seen your face outside of the Zoom box. So it's so great to see you here in person. I hope you like the food. How's the food?
It's good.
Okay, cool. Well, you might want to take some home because it looks like we have some leftovers. So feel free to do that. If you don't know me, my name is Sarah Ranchler. I'm the Program Quality Director, and I'm talking to you because I'm in charge of training. So getting you all here together is part of my job, and so I'm just feeling so grateful that you all took the call to action and are here to learn how to be a great area director. I'm wearing my area director badge from 2019 to 2020. As you may remember, that was a little tumultuous time for America, right in the middle of the pandemic. And so I've learned a lot and grown a lot as a leader. When I sat in your shoes right now, I was playing Pokemon Go on my phone. I took up the role of area director because I couldn't stand getting another email saying, will somebody please be the Area 72 area director? And I said, I will do it, I will do it. And a mediocre job I did at that. And I hope that we can train you all and get you inspired to be a little less mediocre than I was as an area director. We have two great presentations for you today, and if you need a water, we have lots of water over in the back, so just give me a hand raise and Karen and I can grab you a water. Restrooms are just down the hall on the right, and we'll have 2 breaks. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first presenter. This woman is dear to my heart because she has helped me so many times throughout my journey as a Toastmaster. She joined my coaching team 2 years ago and was an excellent, and still is an excellent coach, trying to get some clubs that are less than 12 members up to distinguished, which is a mighty, mighty task. As you know, even clubs with 13 or more members, it's tough to get distinguished. So then she took up the reins of club coach chair last year, and now today she's our club extension chair, reporting to Anu, and I'm sure that she just has more and more great things to come. So welcome, Marty Barrera.
Apparently there's a trend in what mediocrity produces for you. Because I have to know, I'm telling the truth, you know, many of you will be able to relate to this. Someone came to you and said, hey, you were suggested. And then, like, for what? Well, someone thought you'd be a good area director, and you thought, perhaps I should find out who the area director is, right? And then you sort of muddle through. The district does a lot to provide activities like this, but if you don't have a peer group to help you as you're experiencing it, you don't feel successful. In retrospect, it may be that you actually are, but it doesn't seem that way as it's occurring. And the reason that I say that is not just because I want you to relate to me at the very outset of this presentation, but because it was true for me, and I know I am not so unique that something true for me is not also true for many of you. For those of you who knew what an area director was and had aspirations and worked your way into readiness and then took on the challenge, right on. We need people like you. And for the rest of us who were here through hook or crook, somehow found ourselves in these seats, I'm thanking you in advance for what I know you've done and what I know you will do. Believe it or not, you will be successful. You will look back on this year, and there will be highs, and there will be lows. But in between those 2 points, there will be learning. And learning is really important. I think many of us can agree that that's why we came to Toastmasters. If we thought that we knew everything there was to know about communication and leadership, maybe we wouldn't be here. Because that's not what Toastmasters is about. Toastmasters is about challenging yourselves. And I know that anyone that shows up for a meeting on a Saturday afternoon when the weather is reasonably good and they can be doing infinitely many other things, that's the type of person that Toastmasters is about. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being ready to learn and participate. And I look forward to hearing in the feedback forms, hint, hint, how you thought this presentation went so that we can do what we did successfully this time and increase, up the ante every successive time that we do it. So let's talk about the area director. In this training today, I'm focusing on the expectations that we have of an area director. And one key expectation is for you to know what your duty is and to know the roles around you. There are two words that I want you to take away from my section, and they are relationship and support. Relationship, because you are literally the connective tissue between the district and the club. And I can tell you from personal experience, if that is not working effectively, you will have members who cannot maximize their Toastmasters experience because they don't know how broad that experience can be. It's not that the clubs aren't awesome, because trust me, they are, but there's so much more to Toastmasters than the club experience, particularly if you want to be able to increase your leadership exposure. The second word is support. Now, I guess you can imagine that if you're responsible for being that connective tissue, you're going to do something with that, right? When someone comes to you and says, hey, I'm president of my club and I've been noticing some apathy and it shows up because people that previously signed up for roles aren't doing it, or I've got to send out 10 emails instead of one, what can I do? You have to be able to look across the district, at the division level, at the area level, at the club level, and sometimes outside in the broader Toastmaster community if you have connective tissue outside, and say, where can I find suggestions? Who can I connect them to? How can I respond to the question that's being asked in a way that helps them to achieve their goal? So that's why you're here. I'm not going to talk very much more. I want to prepare you because when I did this training, what I found to be the most valuable was talking to other area directors. One, so that we could commiserate with each other. I'll talk about how inexperienced you were and how frightened you were. You may not be frightened because you might be braver than I was. But I found in every one of those breakout sessions, someone who was frightened like I was. And also to share what's happened to you thus far and what you have on the agenda as far as your plan for how it is that you navigate this role. So you'll have noticed in your pre-work that we talked about being prepared for activity. In the workbook for this session, there is a breakout activity.
Group number one's question was, what meaningful impact can an area director make on communication between clubs in their area? We thought of three things. Talking about the connective tissue, that role that we play, is keeping lines of communication open. So for example, I know what I did when I first introduced myself. I sent an email to the presidents of all the clubs, and I included all of them on the to-line. So it wasn't just an individual reach out, it was sort of a group. Maybe that was a little bit of laziness on my side, but then they got to see who else was there. Based on the conversation we had, a thing that I think I will do is circle back with the presidents and prompt them to introduce themselves to each other. Another idea we had was sharing observations across the clubs and then sharing successes. So when we celebrate if a club is getting a lot of level completions, we can share that with the other officers and be motivating. And the third most practical piece of advice, which I'm really excited to implement, is making sure that the clubs are aware that they could be helpers in the contests. So that is a real benefit for them, the presidents, to build relationships with each other because they're going to meet each other. And so we can provide that connectivity.
Wow. Helpers and having that communication start in the fall. When we start our contest season in January or February, my heart is racing right now. I'm so excited. I can't tell you how many late nights I had trying to get people to participate in concerts. So in contests, so it's really exciting. Thank you so much, Group 1. Group 2, are you ready? Ready for your stage time?
Stand over there, the lighting's really bad right there. Here? Yeah, that right there is great.
So I'll stay here.
Yeah.
Hello. Our question is question number 3. What meaningful impact can an area director make on club presidents in the area? We have a lot of ideas. One is to understand the expectation of the president. Sometimes it is the successful factor is to themselves. Do they get it better? Do they really want the club to be better? So what are major challenges they are getting through? Is it membership? Is it location? Is it the challenges across hybrid versus in-person? I have seen it works. So if you need any technical assistance, contact Rhythm 2222. Other than that, we have talked about cross-correlation, like area council, which is also meetings with the president together, that they can share ideas. Letting the president know that they can delegate, not that they have to do everything together, but they can delegate to the Toastmaster of the week to find members to fill the roles. They can have also challenge all the team members, all the Toastmasters in the club to actually invite 2 to 3 guests every meeting. Wow, tall orders, but do give it a try. Everybody take a part. It will grow a lot. We talk about social media, meetup, reminder can actually bring in about 4 guests a night. And also monitor progress of how the president is doing. Do a regular checkup with them and see what they have set up for the year. Do they have progress after 1 month, 2 months, or how are they doing? With that, I wish all the area director progress, but for someone who are new like me, something to go on. Hooray!
To delegate. Just imagine if we took Group 1's idea about reaching out to the presidents, having the presidents introduce themselves to each other, how much easier creating an area council would be. Because they know each other. It wouldn't be so uncomfortable thinking, oh, another meeting, people I don't know, stuff that doesn't matter to me. That probably wouldn't happen if they followed Group 1 and Group 2. Let's see how our next group can. You are question 3. Can step up on that. Here you go.
I'm Lynn Chapman, just so you know who I am. Are you recording me?
I am.
She's recording me. Our question was, what meaningful impact can an area director make on member goals in that area? So, the very first thing is for people to understand pathways. So to have assign people a mentor, or at least get them training in pathways so they understand what pathways is all about, how to actually sign up for a pathway and move through pathways while they're a Toastmaster. Because sometimes people aren't even doing pathway speeches, they're doing other speeches, and that's not going to help them reach their goals. Another thing is, this is what I do in my club, is when the new year starts, I ask members, well, next week we're going to all talk about our goals, including how many speeches you want to give and what level you want to reach. So the next week they come and we do our introductions, that's what they say, so that we record that. Another thing is, and we just learned about this today from Marty, is that you can use Pathways tools like the Pathway Achievement Chart, which she just sent to me. So I'm going to take a look at that. And that's, I think, for the VPE to work directly with the members to make sure that they're on track. That's awesome. Someone also mentioned letting people know about district projects. This woman, Rika, is it Rika? Rika was saying that there seems to be, people seem to stall out when they get to level 4 and level 5 because those are longer speeches. So let's help those folks by finding out what are some district projects people can work on to actually be able to give speeches about that can help them meet those goals. Let's see, where am I here? Do speeches elsewhere that let people know they can do speeches outside their clubs, not just within their clubs. And I think that's it. I have something Pathways Training BPE signs up, but I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Anyway, that's it.
So we've talked about presidents, we've talked about aligning the clubs, we've talked about having the members taken care of. Now we're going to talk about how they all work together. And we will be regaled by group 3. Who's our guys in here? Yeah. Hope she's moving the camera. Awesome. Oh, okay.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, our question is number 7. What meaningful impact can an area director make on alignment between their district, division, and clubs in their area? And we were fortunate enough to have, sitting at our table, we were explaining what alignment is. And this is an annual event that happens that you may be aware of or not, but the alignment is where the district director looks at across all the areas and the whole district and has 6 criteria to evaluate them. And then by the following year's startup, the areas are defined based on the results of that. So how we, as area directors, can help the district director is to ensure that all the officers of clubs keep all the data online current. So update Toastmasters, update their websites, and we as area directors can go in and examine them and coach them on that to ensure that all of that is kept current. When it comes to the time when they have to source information to do these alignments and algorithms, however it works, that's very helpful. In order to, since areas are aligned, where stronger and more challenged clubs are grouped in areas, by us sharing information, tips and tricks across the clubs, we will help build, and hopefully then by the following year, they're one of the stronger clubs that gets grouped in a different way. Obviously, being consistent and following up on all of these matters. And also, we made a discovery that it might be helpful explaining to the president and BPE by conducting our area council meetings, perhaps with the support of our division director. Thank you.
I almost feel like they had an unfair advantage. But I'm not sad about it. I think it's awesome when you have the opportunity to hear directly about something you might not be exposed to otherwise. So the purpose of this activity was to look at how you have the opportunity to have an impact. And the impact that you are making is by being that connective tissue that I referred to. So now you know all of the different parts that you are trying to connect. The next thing for you to be attentive to is what's out there. So you heard about alignment here from this group, and you might not have otherwise heard of that. That's an element of what goes on at the district level of leadership. And we have lots of people that have those expertises. You've got your division directors who you all are familiar with because they're your champions and they're your guides in this process. But we also have the club growth director, Anu. We have the program quality director, Sarah. And each of those roles, including the district director, have really specific duties. And the next activity that you'll participate in, you'll spend 20 minutes looking at all of those duties and connecting the responsibilities to the roles. Because what you want is when someone comes to you and says, I have this challenge, you want to be able to say, hey, I know who to connect you to. I love being able to do that. Not just because I'm lazy, but because I really want people to get the best and rightest answer. And while I might know a lot, I don't know everything, and I'm not afraid to admit that. And you, my friend, area directors, can always say, I don't know the answer to that question, but I can assure you I will find out. And if you then turn around and deliver that, imagine what a superpower that will be for you. So you will stay in the groups that you're in, you'll look at your session booklets, and we will go on to the next activity of identifying roles and how they connect to their responsibilities, how you make an impact, and how you are that relationship master that directs your Toastmaster friends in District 2 to where they can get their answers to their questions, where they can get guidance on projects that they're doing, where they can pursue their personal development goals. Now you've had to identify all of the roles, and I'm sure that was a fun activity. Just so you know, when I did this 2 years ago, they didn't tell me that the answers were available. So I fretted for a good long time, and then at the end, they said, oh, by the way, these are the answers. We didn't do that to you today. Make note of that. I would like to start this time with group number 3 and have them answer their question. Now, one caveat for these presentations, if you hear the other group, because each question is answered by 2 groups, if they've given your answer, you have got to come up with something else. We want no duplication here. We're not wasting time. I did warn you as the outset that I would do this. So, who is our designated speaker in this group?
You said group 3, which is this group.
Oh, sorry. Forgive me. I mean group 3.
We're very
Group 3. They just want to be first. That's what it is. That's this table right here. These are all your A's. Here you go, Linda.
And it's been so long since I acted like an
Liar.
Who will I or we rely on the most over this next year? I have 2 answers. One, the person who coerced us into this. At this table, that would be Kumar and Roxanne. I don't know who coerced this woman. Actually, division director. And the other that I will be relying on is, aside from the other area directors in my division, are all of the people that I have contact with in Toastmasters, that over the years I have learned to rely on, and who rely on me. That's my answer.
Good answer.
Fully supportive group. I like how you distilled it to 2. It is important to see that person who coerced you into this opportunity as a co-conspirator. Because truthfully, if they said you could do it, then they need to be able to back that up and make sure it's true, right? I would never want to recommend someone for something and then have them fail at it. So I am very motivated to help you if I suggest that you can do something. That's very insightful. But I also think recognizing that everyone that you interact with might be a resource when you're called upon to give an answer. That's key. We don't get to be shy in Toastmasters, even if we want to, because it doesn't serve us well. So I'd like to hear, at the district level, which of you, I think, who had district? Well, you guys are here.
No, the other, you have the same question.
Okay, so it is you. I want you now to tell us who you're gonna, when you went through your roles, who did you think that the area director should rely on in all of those roles? Were you the speaker? Here you go, sir.
Yes, ma'am. So we came up with 3 different roles. Division director is, of course, the person who recruits, organizes, keeps us accountable, holds the meetings, tells us we need to hold contests and training sessions. So yes, she's vital. I would also say the program quality director and the club growth director, mainly because We're successful if our clubs are successful. And the things that they need to be successful is, number one, to work through the pathways to become a distinguished club. And number two, to not die. So they need members. And that is not just a trite reply. There are at least a couple of clubs in my area that definitely need some help in terms of club growth. So those are the three.
Thank you. You know what's standing out to me? Not die. I think that idea that some of our clubs are on life support and that we could be giving them what brings them back to life. I've seen so many TV shows where someone is like at death's door and some person who has super skill and comes in at just the right moment, applies exactly the right procedure, and that individual wakes up and says, "Hallelujah, I'm alive, thanks to you." Wouldn't it be great if that was the response that a club had about something that you did to help them? Wouldn't we all like to see that happen? Not dying is key. We don't want clubs to die in this district or any Toastmasters district, but we're starting with District 2. So who's our designate here? Here you go, sir.
Everyone hear me all right? All right, so aside from the aforementioned three positions, the division director, the club growth director, the program quality director, I think the important goal is the district director. Making sure that we have that air cover from the district level to provide that all district level content that can help inspire the club to be more successful. And one goal that is not listed on the sheet that we focused on is also the individual club presidents, building that club council, that area council to help on the ground with individual clubs and help them share their lessons among their clubs and then meet with our fellow area directors and understand across all of the areas what other club presidents are doing and what challenges they're facing, what solutions they actually have for us. Thank you.
Thank you. And you didn't need to plan that answer. Let me tell you, I am a part of 10 clubs in 3 different districts. And this is the only district where I can send an email to our district director expecting a response. And I'm not making that up because I send emails to people all the time when I have a question or I have a suggestion or something. And I will tell you, we are fortunate, not just that she was able to benefit Group 3 with her presence, but that she will respond to our questions. We can, like Group 4 is suggesting, reach out to Linda to ask a question of our district director. That's not modeled everywhere, I just want you to know that. So I'm wondering, what unique recommendations will you be making to us that have yet to be made?
Okay. Hello. Well, as an area director, the roles that we rely on the most are really all the roles around. We manage downward to our presidents of our clubs. We manage sideways and get inspiration and ideas from our other area directors during our meeting with our division, because we share challenges and we have to share, I think, solutions that work, right? And even if it's not the exact same solution, you can customize it for your area. We rely on our division director, program quality director, and program growth directors when we have issues and new ideas that we want to implement just to stay on the safe side with the bylaws and the expectations of Toastmasters International. We also rely on our administration, additional training for technical information and how to redeem and win our district dollars, because everything is operational and we need everyone in the district to help us out, even through the website, so we don't have to send an email to everybody all the time. But upwards, downwards, sideways. That's how we roll.
Thank you, Gina. I was kind of expecting you to go sideways, down, up. I was expecting all of you to stand up and join her. This was great. So at the beginning, I told you I wanted you to remember 2 words. What were those 2 words? Close. Support was not exactly. And can you see why I said that? I don't know about you. This is how I am as a human being. I'm going to distill any content that seems excessive to concepts that I can remember, I can walk around with. That's how I do speaking when I do it. I have 5 or 7 words that I memorize, and those words connect me through my talk. I want you to remember your area director experiences, one based on relationships, and opportunistically using those relationships to provide support, because that's your role, that's your duty, that's your obligation. And I am 100% convinced at the end of your term, when you look back at your area director experience, the thing that you are going to miss the most is being able to do that. And so you'll keep doing it. Even though you're not technically an area director, you will always be an area director. Once an area director, always an area director. It becomes a part of your Toastmaster legacy. And frankly, all of you are young enough to have decades of advantage to District 2, possibly the international community, maybe the universe. Who knows? We might get Toastmasters outside of the world. I don't think there are any bombs. And you are all a part of that. I so appreciate your willingness to spend time with me, to listen to me, and to focus on me, because it makes me think you're being really attentive, and it warms the cockles of my heart. I hope that the rest of your day is edifying and gratifying, and that you learn things that you need to know to be better in this challenge that you've taken on. You are all up to it, and I just want to say, if you've identified anyone who might have what it takes, recommend area director, because it's going to be really great if in 2024, 2025, we have 100 people that want to be area director and we don't have that many roles. Wouldn't that be awesome? You can start that right now. Thank you very much. I will now turn the floor back to our Toastmaster. Sarah, you're on.
We're really excited for part 2 of this training. One of the questions I asked you when you filled out the form was, what do you want to know about being an area director, and what do you want to be trained in? And almost every single one of you said area visits and area expectations. So what are we going to learn about? Visits! And to give this presentation, we have a wonderful person here, Peter Horne, who is not only the Division C Director this year, but last year he was Area Director of the Year of Area 52. So who is Area 52 this year? Awesome, Farron. You gotta get with this guy. Make sure you follow the trend.
No pressure.
And with that, I'd love to welcome Peter to the stage. Welcome, Peter. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My name is Peter Horne. Haven't been in Toastmasters for that long. I've already had 2 years being area director under my belt.
Please keep it close.
You can't?
I can't hear very
You
well.
can't hear? Oh, that's pointless.
Yeah.
These mics, I don't know. I'd rather.
I need your
To the back of the room. All right. Club visits. To me, that's the heart of the area director role. That's where we get to know clubs. I'm going to be going back and forth a little bit. What is a successful club visit? And what are the club outcomes?
Peter, hold it closer. Yeah.
See, I need mic training. I'm used to projecting. Club visits can be very useful, interesting, entertaining. They're what kept me coming back for that second year of being an area director. The outcomes.
Yeah, that was good.
This is better.
Yes, that's great.
I have to put this right in front of me.
Yep, right there.
The outcomes, we're going to take a little deviation from the workbook because a lot of people ask about the report. So we'll do it in the context of the club visit report. Today, we will identify what a good visit looks like, recognize the outcomes, what goes into the reports, And then you can strategize about how to make your visits more productive. So what is a successful club visit? Visits that count will be based on a number of different scenarios. Now, I'm going to encourage you to shift if you would like. If you want to keep with your same little group, that's fine. But if you'd like to mix and match a little bit, that might be even better. And then I'm going to bring around scenarios from the club visit handbook that was also part of your pre-work. And I'd like you to spend a few minutes looking at the specific scenario I give you. I'm going to encourage you to not simply go with what the workbook said. Develop your own strategy. How would you do it? Start with the table in the back. Could we have a spokesman, please? You're going to answer the first question. Tell us about what you're going to look at prior to your visit.
Thank you. Hi, I'm John. Hi, everybody. What we're going to look at, okay, so we talked about this for a bit. One of the things we want to look at prior to the visit is finding out online who the officers of the club are, because we want to build relationships with them prior to the visit. So once, is that what you want to know? Yeah. But we've got a lot of other stuff. Okay, I got a minute. Basically, we were talking about the goals and the goals of lending support and sharing ideas, and finding out the goals of the president of that club is very important. And the main purpose is to build relationships with the club. And one idea we came up with is potentially to find out how well they're doing in a way, or how organized they are, is be a secret shopper and try to become a member of the club and fill out the form and see how long it takes to get a response. So I know that's one thing our club does really well, because I'm CC'd on all those communications. So I think that's one really important thing. And at the end of the day, after the club visit, you want to be able to give the president of the club or the vice president of education the feedback that you gathered. But mainly, another thing to do to build this rapport with the club and club members is actually take a role by yourself and do a role during the club. Come there prepared and maybe talk about your experience and what got you to this point and why you're there, or what it is to be an area director and what's the purpose of that as sort of an educational speech. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just add to that? So one thing that I was.
We need to mic you so that you can be heard.
Oh, there's another mic.
Oh, I'm loud enough.
Nope.
I'm not loud enough? Oh, okay. What was time we got? Oh, so what I did. Turn it on. So what I, still never.
Oh, now it's working. So someone suggested that I come with a speech to a meeting, and that's what I did, and I actually came. It was frankly speaking, and I thought, what am I going to talk about? So I dug up an old speech about comparing drivers in Seattle to drivers from Chicago, and it's hilarious. So, I think for number one, it's doing a speech that resonates with the particular group you're going to, but also, what was the other thing I was going to say? anyway, you're giving a speech, and also the fact that you're giving a speech is exciting for clubs because oftentimes clubs need people to be speaking, and so the offering to do one is a good thing.
That's it.
Are you going to be representing your group?
What?
Are you going to represent your group?
Oh, Northeast Seattle Toastmasters area.
No, I meant your breakout group.
Oh, no, I'm not. Teresa too. That's not.
And you get the second
We
question.
are very, very good friends, though. I got Patrice to Toastmasters in the early 80s.
Twisted my arm.
And I got her to this too.
So number 2, how do you build rapport with club officers? How does this process differ when working with corporate clubs compared to community clubs? Luckily, we have one of our members who does participate in a corporate club, so he was able to give specific feedback regarding this question. And pretty much it's the same. I mean, you're building rapport with the president, so you're reaching out. Also understanding where the club is, like Lynn mentioned, maybe you have to tailor things a little bit if it's a more experienced club. Your recruiting strategies might be a little different due to corporate clubs, of course, have to be working there as a employee. So the recruiting might be a little bit different. Also, access to get through the door. You might have to reach out and get that extra approval so that you're able to get in the door. But other than that, pretty much the same. Always keep it positive, keep it upbeat, and you will build that rapport.
Thank you. Let's have this table come up and answer the third question, please.
Who are you looking at here?
Your table, yeah.
Are we on?
Yes.
I had answers for all the other questions. Consider club visits you have experienced. What was positive about those experiences? What was negative? Well, I don't like to dwell on the negative, so we'll leave that out. When you make your visit, what is the feeling that you get from the club? Have people here visited clubs where you walk in the door and nobody greets you?
Yes. Yeah.
A little scary, isn't it? And the other statement is, make many visits. Get the feeling, the general overall, look at it, the general overall feeling for the club. What does it feel like over a period of time? We've all been there. We've all seen the clubs. Take roles. Consider this. Look at your own club. How many people are working in pathways? Anybody ever thought about that? How about give a thumbnail squinch on pathways and how to get into it, and then urge people to do that? It doesn't make any difference if you're corporate or if you're community. Both of us should be working in pathways. Look at the DCP, the first 6 goals are pathways, or educational goals. And I see the timer on the wall saying, sit down, Mr. President.
Thank you. Now for the table in front, who's the spokesperson? You get to answer the fourth question. Follow up. What do you do after the visit?
All right, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Lucas, and I'm glad that we got this fourth question because I got some good answers from the table. One thing, the question is, what are the follow-up tasks after a visit? And one great suggestion was to send a thank you email back and say, thank you for letting me come to the club. I know that when I start the visit by saying I'm really glad to be here, that really opens things up. So sending a thank you email could be a great follow-up task. You could also go to the Toastmasters, their website, and you could see, does their information match up with what you experienced? Was it accurate? And maybe you could send a suggestion about that. And you can always send back encouraging words, say, I really enjoyed how you did this, or I really enjoyed that you were very welcoming at the door. To try and be more open, because I feel like club visits can be a little intimidating for people. I know when I was in the club, we got the first one, we were like, ooh, we better make sure everyone's here, and we better make sure we have good speeches tonight and all that, so. Those were our answers, so thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay.
Just a few other comments about what to do or club area visits that I've experienced. One, arriving early is a plus. Staying for the whole meeting is a plus. I've experienced area directors who popped in late and left early and didn't engage the members. So also engaging members. That's it.
Thank you. These are all wonderful ideas for having a successful club visit. Preparation is going to be the key to a successful visit. Make sure you know what you're taking into the meeting, whether it be a hip pocket speech, knowledge of the club, knowing who the officers are. Those are all things that will go a long way towards having a successful visit. What can you accomplish during a club visit? I'll just random shout outs from any of you here.
Learning about their needs.
What was that?
Learning about their needs.
Learning about their needs. We can bring the mic around too.
No, I'm just agreeing with it.
Building rapport.
Great. Anything else? We got after that one in the back.
Go ahead.
Correct the information required and make a statistical analysis.
Awesome. That's great.
Find future leaders. Yeah, definitely do that, and Stu.
Yes.
Just overall observe how they run their agenda, if it's standard, or how they flex away or add to it, so you can get more insights.
Thank you.
And you may be just the person who lets members know that there is something outside the club that they could participate in.
Participate as a participant for the meetings, take roles. Also, like before going to the club, you can also know, to find the club information maybe incorrect, you can inform those.
Thank you all. Wonderful suggestions, everybody. Alex, one more.
Is anyone else going to mention pathways? Promote pathways. Please, the first 6 goals, they're all pathways. Make sure people give speeches and they track their levels. Otherwise, you're going to end up at the end of the year with nobody having the DCP goals required. Thank you.
Amen.
All right, we're going to move on. One of the other things that you do after a club visit, you're going to make a report. In the next section, we're going to talk about what goes into the report. I have given each table a scenario that's been somewhat abbreviated from what's in the handbook, because I want you to think what you would do, not what the handbook suggests an area director ought to do. There's other ways that you can get there. So let's take up to 15 minutes talk about your specific scenario, and then we'll come back and engage in some more discussion and report outs.
Scenario 1, first impressions. Tonight you are visiting the Flackley Forum Club. The club meeting is held in the Red Room of the local library. You arrive 10 minutes early to chat with members before the meeting, but the door is locked. While you wonder what to do, a woman arrives. You introduce yourself and learn her name is Farah, a first-time visitor to the Flackley Forum Club. The two of you wander around the building until you find the group is in the blue room, the library's other public meeting room. Sergeant at Arms Finley greets you both. He asks Farah to sign the club guest book, gives her a name badge, and introduces both of you to members and officers. You're invited to take a seat when the meeting starts. The speakers are interesting and the meeting is well planned. Seated next to you, Varela appears immediately after the meeting. You are scheduled to talk with the club officers. Vice President Membership Francine hurries over to Farah, who is standing by herself near the door. Francine hands some membership materials to Farah, telling her, go to our website for more information, and turns away. You see Farah leave the membership materials on a table before she walks out the door. So, how we discussed we would handle it is schedule a meeting with the whole officer team afterwards. Because in my experience, there are different types of presidents and different types of officers, including when I served as area director last year. I noticed that, when I went to do a club visit, there was the president at the time tried to connect with one of the guests, and they actually formed no connection. They couldn't really relate to the younger generation. But with the new president, who I have formed a relationship with, she is taking a more active approach to help guests feel more welcome and taking a step forward. So, in summary, other than just telling someone to go to our website and for more information and turn away, you can say, I have to rush to another meeting, but I will follow up with you right afterwards. And so that's how we would handle first impressions.
You also had scenario 1, I believe.
Scenario 3.
Oh, yeah, 3?
Yeah.
I want, who had 2?
We have two.
Can I have somebody for 2, please?
Oh, sorry. Just read the shorter one.
Alright, so you arrive early to the battle club to talk with members. One of them tells you many members join, drop out after a couple of months. During the meeting, you remember Benicio conducted beams of pride when he receives his Toastmasters pin. After the meeting, the VP of membership shares that finding mentors to be members has been difficult. Without a mentor, Benicio might leave. Alright, so we're dealing with member orientation. So one of the key things that's pointed out here is mentors. It's important to have a mentor. So first, you think about having a mentor might be a really difficult thing for many people to do. So we suggested starting out as a buddy. Someone that just checks in, make sure that if the person doesn't come to a meeting, give him a call. Hey, where are you? We missed a Toastmasters meeting. And then a mentor or a buddy doesn't have to have all the answers. You can find, one is if you don't have enough mentors in your own club, you can have mentors from other clubs. You can contact district, contact area director, and see if you can provide a mentor for your new members. And the mentor doesn't have to have all the answers. They just have to be able to connect to someone or be able to have a network of understand who they can provide or who they can contact to get the right information to someone what someone needs. And then understand why new members are leaving. We think that there's always more to have a mentor and an onboarding process, but have an offboarding process. have a survey, ask those people why are they not coming back. And also take advantage of the district's Moments of Truth survey process, where they will allow you to send out a survey and then have a facilitated session, review those results with your club. And let's see, I think the last thing is the club success plan. Make sure you have that success plan done with those clubs so they have a specific plan of action to address their issues and be successful in the next year. That's it.
Thank you. Now, scenario 3, please.
Now it's your time.
It's your time now. For real. For real, for real.
You're such a good sport.
Okay. Here. So, okay, wait a minute. Before your first visit to Club Chit Chat, last year's area director Chandra said to you that when she visited the club, it was a strong club with growing membership. However, she's heard that meetings have become stale and membership is no longer increasing. The club has been distinguished in the past, but it has not met many of the goals so far this year. Keeps going. When you arrive at the meeting, members tell you they appreciate your attending. The meeting follows the agenda, which is green and orange letters. There are 2 speeches, and tabletop topic session is moderately interesting. So obviously the most important thing here is the green and orange letters. So we're trying to say, what the heck does that mean? It must have some secret meaning. But then we figured, okay, this must be to indicate that the branding's off of the club, so maybe it just shows sort of the lack of interest in a way in keeping the club special and on brand and reaching its goals. But then, we talked about it a little bit, and it kind of reminds me of my club. So what has been happening, there's issues with COVID that have reduced the number of people, probably most clubs, and going virtual. But one of the big things is pathways, and the switchover or the changeover from the paper to pathways. And there are several members in our club who are the best speakers, will always speak, and they just have no interest in pathways, but they used to do all the goals of the paper system. So it's really about motivating people to understand why they should move to pathways and why they should move to the future. And I kind of try to use an analogy of Harley Davidson motorcycles and how they're trying to rebrand themselves to a new demographic, and doing sports touring versus these big honking motorcycles. Okay, I'm getting off topic. But in a way, we thought it might be very helpful to bring in somebody, and maybe ask your division director or something, to bring in somebody who is a specialist in pathways to show a presentation of pathways and to indicate and to show people why it's the future and why it's now. And really, that's what's going to add some life to this club and our club, I think, is if we have some goals, and we really follow pathways. And I think I'm done with time, but.
Scenario 4, please.
To answer this specific thing we were asked to talk about, should I repeat the Cumberland Portland Code or just Yeah, the Cumberland College Club meets on the college campus. Members and new college faculty are getting to know the others, presents features of interest to fellow academics. President Foster arrives late and talks about introducing you. First point, we would ask who is second in charge and start the meeting on time. We would not call the person the president asked. He arrives late, he arrives late. We believe in starting meetings on time. The first speech is 15 minutes late and goes long. It's not a pathway speech, but a high-level overview of philosophy that's part of one of a series. I gotta confess, sometimes I talk too much and I've gone too long. So the second speech is also not for pathways and rambles with no beginning, middle, or end. Members who stuck it out seem to accept it, but many have left during the second speech since they have to be in class. The meeting ends an hour late. There wasn't anything mentioned in here. We have a prepared written agenda, and there's times listed on the agenda. And the next thing is we introduce the roles that people are going to have. And the timer gets up at every meeting and explains what his role is. How long the speeches are, how long the evaluations are, and how long the topics are. What I would do at this meeting with the president is I would talk to the president after the meeting and say, I'm sorry, but we did not wait. That's the one thing that I did as area director. It's the only time I intervened, I asked the question, who is second in charge? And then I would talk to the president after the meeting and say, why we started this meeting started on time. And another question that was mentioned in our group was to, if I was area director, I make a copy of the report and so that the club officers can discuss it between them. Now, my comment on this in general is my club is right on 2828. We're a 45-year club. Now, why? We started from a group of former JCs, got together, it was 26 members, so it was a big deal, the club charter, and grew to 40 members, got that now, about 20 members. But we have a date, a very unusual date and time. Saturday, 7:45, it starts at 7:45 a.m., it ends at 9:30. It's a long meeting. But it doesn't interfere with the work group. It's not an hour meeting or something that you have to get in and out. You can make any date and time work, but I'm just telling you what works for us. We stress the positive in our evaluations. The negatives are mentioned in terms of suggestions, and then we try to end the evaluations on a positive note. Again, I mentioned we have a prepared agenda with the roles that are always talked about. Again, everybody mentions their role again. We have educational goals that are emphasized, and our particular meeting is a hybrid meeting. That works for me. I want a car. So we have a hybrid in-person meeting, and it's about half and half. It's the way it is.
That's 4 scenarios. I've got 2 more. Membership strength. I'm not going to read the whole thing here. But we've got a situation with a corporate club cutting expenses, specifically the postmasters. They're losing members. It seems to be a great club with the people who show up. What ideas do you have to help them? Anyway.
What one of my clubs is doing is making sure that we have a theme for every meeting. And you know the theme in advance. If you're giving a speech, hopefully it's around the theme. The other ancillary roles, table topics, whatever is around that theme. Other things that we have done, That's one. Make sure that you have engaging table topics. That somebody actually thinks about it in advance, comes up with a table topics question. I know some of my clubs lately have gotten very lazy in this area, and yet this is an area that provides so much life to a meeting.
Thank you.
Since this is a I'm assuming this is a corporate club. Since it's a corporate club, why not provide them with information that they need? So maybe do a needs assessment and see like what outside speakers you can bring in that would really help enhance their own personal career goals. So something that really would motivate them to come.
Thank you. One more.
Thank you. As a member of a corporate club, something we've done is ask someone on the C-level officer to be an executive sponsor of our club. So we get another paid membership, that's one. And we only expect you to show up once or twice a year, whenever you can. And we are going to promote the heck out of that when you can show up and say, hey, the CFO is coming, and that's a big deal. So I think anything people see that it's going to help them in their careers. Because what I think the problem is they're used to getting Toastmasters for free, and it's not free anymore. So you got to show them that there's value in this, and you show them there's value because it actually helps you do your job. And maybe I'd be talking to our corporate sponsor about, can you see about maybe what you can do in the budget to help us.
Thank you.
Also check with the club if they have completed the club success plan. That might help them in organizing their club in a much better way. And if there is a need, you can encourage them to do the moment of truth. So which also helps us to assess their club and see what can be done.
Thank you. Sam?
You can tell them they can have a speech craft. And the speech craft can actually raise money as well as gain people. You can charge up to $120 for participation in a 4, 6, or 8 week educational session that's going to uplevel their skills, and it could provide members for your clubs, as well as give opportunity for the members you do have to demonstrate their ability to do lively meetings and get more and grow from it. You get club coaches. It's a great way to grow.
Thank you, Rob. This is a very real issue. I don't see Mara here today. Her club went through this sort of an issue, although the payments didn't stop, reorganizations did cut members. And I'm not sure, I think Alex is dealing with that with some of his clubs right now. So this is a reality. I have one more scenario. This is one we've all probably seen at one time or another. We have a club that's not on target to meet any of its goals. And we have members completing levels, but it's not showing up on Toastmasters International, either on the club site or in Pathways. And they don't have any charts or any other feedback to let the members know how their club is doing. How would you handle it? Anyone? We got one back here.
Digital numbers. Wow. Yes, thank you. Well, we all know that we need to celebrate success, right? And recognition sparks ambition. I learned it from Toastmasters. Because if you don't celebrate that,
what extra incentive would a member have to go to the next level? And using pathways and approving the levels, that is so important because that signals to PPE that, hey, Gina completed her level 2, and we have a portion in the agenda for all the members to laud and applaud that member, because aside from being a member of Toastmasters, remember that Toastmasters might be their 4th or 5th priority in their lives, right? And maybe that's where we have members that look forward to coming to our Toastmasters meeting, because it's the only place where it's her time. The kids are not there, she's not making dinner, and or he is not shuffling the kids to soccer, and he is there for himself. That's the time we have where we are seen, are understood, and it builds camaraderie and closeness, and we all rely on each other to take a role, to support each other, and I think that's what we miss, and we need to talk about it and express it and say thank you to everyone that shows up. We also have minutes of our meeting. I don't know if anybody does this. So the secretary sends the agenda, changes the title, and talks about what happened, the highlights, and who's the Toastmaster for next week, and to support her. And that helps. So it's like, oh my God, I missed that. I'm gonna, then you have side conversations going, hopefully, so friendships continue.
One of the things that I will mention to you in your upcoming fall visit, don't be surprised if you don't see a lot of achievements. People work their levels. Typically, towards the end of the Toastmasters year, they want to finish one. So they're starting off on their next one now. They might have a few speeches, but they're not quite to the level yet. Stay on top of it. They'll get there. Let's talk about some other ways that you can add value. Do you have any additional ideas that have not been expressed before?
I have ideas, but you've heard enough from me.
We have a talkative group today, don't we?
Someone back here has ideas. Anu, do you have any ideas?
I'm just going to be sharing, again, we're going to be trying to incentivize the speechcraft this coming year, so really to take the financial aspect from it. So that we're still crafting that. We're looking to, Marty is working on a project about building out our YouTube channel as well. So if you have some really high quality people showing really good like body language or what are some of the other things that we were talking about already, but also how to fulfill a role, how to be a good timer, how to be a good evaluator, so if you have a member that's never done that role before, yeah, they can read about it, but sometimes it's helpful just to hear someone say it. And then that way, we'll be asking for members to submit their videos to us, and then we'll post them on YouTube. And then that way also, so they can go in there, look what a quality evaluation looks like, get some ideas, and feel more prepared. I always remember my very first role was joke master, and I had nightmares before being a joke master. I was scared to death. So, but having that, some of the guidance on how to do some of those roles, I think would be helpful. So be on the lookout for some other ideas we're going to be coming up this year.
I asked the right person.
Thank you. We have one back here.
Our newest area director.
I come from the tech industry, and I have seen how ChatGPT have helped me for last-minute table topic, as well as the yodeling, right? The Toastmaster. It was wonderful. You count your arms and all that. And I have been, I have learned it from one club and I have recommended to some other members in other clubs. I think that helps sharing to, just broaden and, what can be done in the new era, something that is exciting about. I think it is great. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, usually it's great. Advice. Go ahead, go.
I just want to add on Udly, the thing that I use it for is to write my speeches for me because I process orally. So when I'm thinking about what I want to talk about, it's just like what I'm doing here. I'm thinking about what I want to talk about. Udly will capture every word, and then I can word process it into a speech. It makes it so easy when I'm going to give a longer talk and someone wants to know what I'm going to say. I don't have to worry about giving them an outline. I can send them that content, and even better, after I've done or presented a speech, when you can turn around and hand someone word for word what it is that you would like them to know on a particular topic, it's awesome, and it's free, and it's so cool to use. It shows you a picture of yourself. I'm not so excited about that. It tells you what words you use more often than others, as well as counting your ahs and your ums and other filler words. My filler word of choice is and so. They're correct words, but I use them way too frequently, and it let me know that. These are tools built into your Toastmasters membership that you as area directors can make new members aware of. Remind people who knew at some point, I think, that they're accessible, and then help them to look for different ways that they can incorporate using them. There's no reason that you couldn't use Udly to listen to you present a facilitated talk that you're going to give to an employer, right? Because Udly doesn't care if it's Toastmaster related or personal. It's Udly. And they have communities associated with it. If you want to go deep, you can. And ChatGPT is fantastic when someone doesn't show up for a table topics role, and you say, our theme today is being present, and we need 10 questions. It will produce it for you, and let me tell you, they are very, very good questions, and they elicit really deep responses, and I love learning about people, particularly when they weren't prepared to tell you something about themselves, but the responses are very revealing. Thank you.
I had a response to the prior slide, but first I want to put something on the spot, Alex. What do you have to say about Udly?
I was hoping I didn't have to speak, but it's Toastmasters. So I am still looking for people to help me found a Udly club. The Udly co-founders are interested in building a Toastmasters club, and they are located here. So the international partner of Toastmasters is located within our district. That's all I got to say. They would be great to Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And of course, Udly is in Alex's division, so he has a vision we talked about. So can you go back one slide? Do you remember it was all about setting your goals for the DCP and all of that, and then not that one. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you, there is a club that is international, and it is made up of prior district directors only. And when I was invited just as a guest, because I'm not a prior yet, so they send out their agenda, and the first page of the agenda looks normal, just like any club agenda. But the back page has the whole year mapped out, and it says, how are they going to reach distinguished? And it says, level 1, what 2 people are going on. Jane will give us a level 1 sometime this year. She's promised us a level 1. And then also Ken is going to give us a level 1. It's right there, and it ticked off. Yep, that person did it, and then these are still open. So they've got a whole year, but they mapped out their DCP right at the beginning of the year, and they send it out every meeting. So I love their agenda. When I see that, I'm like, wow, that is very organized. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Roxanne?
I want to say that being area directors or any of the officers' positions, it's an opportunity for cross-pollination. It's great to brag about what you've seen in a different area or around. It's great to always make sure that all the district upcoming events are known, but it's also great just to give that cross-pollination of what works well for other people and what clubs in this area do, but also what other clubs are doing things. Getting the word out about Yodely, getting all of those things. That cross-pollination is where it's at, folks. It's how to make everybody be alive to what all the things are, the opportunities there are.
Thank you. Let me move on to some other comments, which I am not going to have slides for. The 6 scenarios that we put up reference the 6 sections of the club visit report that you will complete after your regular club visits. There are additional sections. Don't sweat the other sections too much. But what I would advise you to do is use comments liberally. It's the comments that are going to help the most. You're going to rate the clubs on a scale of 1 to 5. Most of the time, you're probably not going to have things that are below a 3. But make comments anyway. Put comments in on what they do well. That's how we can share information. There are a couple of sections that you're going to have a problem with. How many clubs represented here actually file their club success plan? We don't seem to be doing club success plan very much. A club that has long tradition and keeps things going may not feel the need to update one every year. But we should still be aware of what the club's goals are. That is something that you're going to have to do by speaking to the officers, speaking to the members. Now we're going to entertain another question. How many club visits should you do? Let's rephrase that. How many times should you visit the club?
At least twice.
He says at least 1. 2. Once every 6 months. Well, that's the minimum requirement. Anybody else?
As many as you can.
As many as you can. That was my approach.
And certainly as frequently as they ask you.
As frequently as they ask you.
Another area.
Okay?
If they ask you, you absolutely should come, but don't
Yes.
wait for them to ask you.
I found going to the club just as a guest, just to meet the members, was very helpful. If I went several times, it became easy to do the report. All I had to do was pick a meeting that I would say, this is my timestamp, this is what I'm going to report on. But I knew what the help the club was because I had seen it in everyday action. There might be a tendency among some clubs to say, ooh, the area director is coming. Let's be on our best behavior. It'd be difficult to find out problems in that case, wouldn't it? But if you're there all the time, they'll just accept you as if you're another member. And that's one of the biggest ways that you can contribute to a successful visit, just by showing up. I do have a lot of tips that I put down on paper. They came from the club visit guide, except for reworking them. So where it said Toastmasters Educational Program, I put in pathways. And I made a few other suggestions. There are some things that they suggest the area director talk to the club about. My perspective is The area director isn't the one doing all the work. You are the one encouraging and enabling the clubs to do the work. The clubs are where they're going to continue on after you've finished your term. The club visits, to me, was the cream of the job. That's what I enjoyed the most. That's what drove me to do a second year. I really got a lot out of it. I got to take speeches to a lot of different audiences. I could evaluate speakers that I would ordinarily not hear. Most of the time, I wound up with a role. I can look around the room and see a lot of some of my successes. The one club that I had trouble visiting because they did too much with district activities, President 2828 is represented by a number of new area directors this year. Of course, they're all over here in Division E. I wish they had come to Division C because I still have some openings. But I'm speaking to the wrong crowd. You've already signed up. Today we had a couple of activities and discussions. We talked about what is a successful club visit. To me, the answer is a successful visit is one that you show up to. And then we talked about the outcome, which is going to be reflected in the club visit report. It doesn't have to be difficult. Just enjoy the ride. When you fill out your evaluation forms for the session as a whole, what one thing will you take with you? And it's all right if you want to take one thing from Marty's session and one thing from my session. So please fill out those surveys. At this point, I think I'll turn